Hello, everybody. Welcome to the BAT Community Call for Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. Hope you all are doing well. It's been kind of a busy week, but things are good. Jenny's not going to be with us this week; she's out. But Battern and team are filling in the void, and I think we can go ahead and have kick off with the updates and then I can fill in updates after if you guys are game to do that.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
All right, let it rip.
Way. All right, so I know how Jenny normally likes to start off some stats, so I'm doing the same. With the amount of a cap on attention token, we've got 267.3k. The BAT community is 22.6k. On the BAT project Reddit, we've got 88k. The BAT Brigade Discord 13.9k. On Telegram we have a whopping 232. No K, just 232. But it's pretty good in there. On Facebook I found an account with 15k. The ambassador agenda for this week is to make sure everyone active has swag, get the season 2 and 3 NFTs out, physical leaflets for everyone to hand out with a QR code on, start personally hosting regular meetups, and more stickers, because I found one which I put out last year, so I thought I could get some more out. Bows did a presentation for ZebPay this week. They're already familiar with us, so we got to talk about it on a high level. We didn't have to be like, yo, this is Brave, it's a privacy browser, this is BAT. You can earn it with rewards. You can take it a bit further than that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bows. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can go over it real quick just since I'm here. Yeah, so I mean the main thing is over at ZebPay, I mean, I think a lot of y'all probably heard of them. They're our custodial partner in India. They also have a lot of fans of BAT and Brave within their organization, and one of the groups within it is has kind of an affiliation with BAT, so to speak. So they invited me to speak to that group and just kind of update them on what the community and the ambassador program's all about, and also tell them a little bit how I'm involved, what I'm excited for. So I kind of just gave them a high-level discussion over all of it. Talked about some of the exciting things in the pipeline and how, they might impact them or just the broader ecosystem, and also, about the community ambassadors, because, a lot of people, even if they're in the BAT, sometimes they're not really aware of the community stuff going on, or even the weekly calls sometimes. And also, throwing out there that if any of them want to get involved in ambassadors, we could always use some more support in the areas that a lot of their teams base. So, just kind of leading it up there and, answering questions and stuff like that.
Recording is on.
I just turned on recording, by the way, and we have Marvin running the transcription service that Marshall has implemented. So we're trying this. We're trying it out here. Sorry to startle anybody.
No, you're good. Battern, feel free to keep going.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, sorry. I thought I was sure if you were carrying on or I was carrying on the robot. The robot spooked me. And now I'm wondering what the robot's going to be transcribing of what I'm saying. Is it going to be catching everything? Or okay. I'll click ahead.
I don't know, Marshall. Do you want to talk about that since it's working?
Yes, I can. I didn't want to interrupt the presentation though, but I'll just mention to people, go ahead and click the Leo button. And just to start, you can click on the button that says summarize this page. And when we're done with the presentation, I'll talk a lot more. But that way you can kind of see what's going on and go from there.
Thanks, Marshall.
All right. Talk to you soon.
We're testing in production here.
All right. Okay, I'll carry on then. So BAT in Africa. Stan attended the Solana blockchain meetup to represent BAT. The attendees were young and blockchain savvy. You got half of them to install Brave, and a few of the others already had it installed. Some had Brave, but did not know about BAT, so he enlightened them. You got a couple of them enrolled into the self-custody beta, and he looks really happy in that picture, which is a change. So good job, Stan. He's not smiling today. It's pretty meme-worthy, that picture. And Paula?
Hi, everyone. Oh, I don't know if Harold wants to speak or say something.
No, I didn't. I hit a button. Sorry.
Okay.
Fire.
Good. So, well, first of all, hi, everyone.
Hey.
Just like every week, we published our space recap from March 22nd with XPunks on Bat Community's Notion. There you can find all the details about our conversation with the project, as well as, specific information about the project itself. And like always, these recaps are shared in the AMA Calls Recap channel under information in the Bat Brigade Discord. And soon we will be posting and highlighting ZEC hubs and VChains on the Bat Community X account. And I didn't make a presentation about this, but about self-serve ads manager. I'm so sorry about my pronunciation. But right now, just a quick update. Bruno, our ambassador from Brazil, and I had a follow-up call with Dan and the team last week. And he basically walked us through everything and the whole process. And now we're setting everything up and getting some accesses to the platform and to start working on it. So I'll have more updates probably next week. And that's all from my side. I will hand it out to Drew for some community updates. Thank you.
So Jenny's doing a BAT meetup in Tokyo while she's gone. It's going to have special guests from Brave Software. Please join it. We just wanted to let everyone know what she's up to when she's gone. So let's move on to the next one. Drew?
Okay, yeah. So not too terribly much going on my end. Just keeping busy, kind of more on the back end. But I think we're looking for finalizing our guests for this week's space. With Jimmy being out, and we'll see what happens there, and we'll keep you posted. Of course, we'll have the normal weekly things going on in the Discord server and whatnot. I know that Dave did a makeup trivia today for last week because he was traveling. I think he's going to be doing another one later this week, Friday. And the Dave is back on the Jack's Box on Saturdays. Next week, there's a conference called Token 2049 in Dubai. It's a pretty big crypto conference that I'll be going to, and Carlos from Brave. So I'm looking forward to that. And then also just after the conference side of it is the next Karate Combat event, which is on the 20th there in Dubai as well. So looking forward to that one as well. I don't know yet if we're going to be doing the live stream yet. I guess we'll figure that out with Crypto Dojo and see what's going on with Scott, and let everybody know between now and then if we're going to do that or if we'll just watch his feed or what we're going to do. So we'll keep you posted. And I think that's about all. Actually, one other thing is we just finished up the March Madness brackets for the NCAA tournaments. And congratulations to Bows, who won on the women's side, I believe. And then I can't remember who the winner was on the men's, but I'll announce that in the Discord and get some.
It was Revision.
Oh, that's right. It was Revision. You're right. And thankfully not Bows winning both of them. So thank you, Revision, for winning that one. and we'll get that announced and some prizes out to you guys and other winners here in the next day or so. I think that's all.
Hey, I was leading in both for a long time, but
I know. I was just like, please don't let Ballas win both of them.
but yeah,
I don't want to
it was
hear.
also
I hear
cool.
enough of it as it is. I don't want to hear anymore. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it was also cool because that was like, I think Revision's like first time really like following the tournament at all. So
That's awesome. Well, congratulations, Revision. You actually won it. Back to you, Battern.
Yeah, I was checking out flights to Dubai. So yeah, G isn't here this week, so I guess I'll just run through his updates for him. His schedule for the upcoming week. He's got an Echo roadmap coming. He's got an Echo collabs planned. He's got some really nifty tricks planned to integrate them. He's got more stuff on the swag saw, back community brand design, and some infographics, which are going to be handy for spread on the internet. This one's a little bit for Luke. I was thinking about him when making the slides. He's been doing a lot of stuff with the meme coins recently. Got some nice tasty numbers that he's been sharing on Twitter, and some of the memes that have been made, especially by Nam Gang. He's been pumping them out like a madman.
He sure has.
Anyway, I'll leave you to talk about that at some point. But
yeah, I can cover that after the.
And that's all, folks. Cheers, everyone.
Dude, that was great. That was great, guys. And yeah, like shout out to Bows to you, like for the that was a cool meetup that you did, like an initiative there, and Rahul like was awesome. I'm glad that he was able to come, and it was cool to see Zepay featured, and yeah, that was really great. And great work, everybody too. But yeah, so that's great. So I can drill down a little bit more. I mean, people have been probably, if you've been on Twitter and seeing my tweets lately, like a lot of stuff about meme coins, and I kind of touched on it a little bit last week, but we've got some updates too over this past week. But in case folks have not been following, just as a refresher, so every time we have a new bull run, in crypto, we kind of like traditionally have taken a look at the market and seen like, okay, well, where can Brave ads or in Brave as a platform deliver value? And then there's obvious ones where, the wallet, et cetera, rewards that we all know about. But there's always some cultural trends that we can pick up on. Gaming and other efforts like through the different cycles that have happened, and this time there were meme coins, but that was one big jump out cultural thing that was happening where we were actually seeing like a ton of volume and things like that. We're kind of breaking this into three buckets this cycle for deal flow. And Carlos and I are doing a ton of work on this right now. And so the three buckets, just in case folks aren't familiar, there's this kind of cultural like hotspot bucket of like these meme coin campaigns, which I'll go into a little bit of detail on in a minute. And then we have a second kind of tier, which are around promoting quests, which we've talked about a little bit. We're having one go live with Astral, I think next week. That'll involve a sponsored image and notifications to rewards users, etc. Where we're promoting, different L2s on Ethereum, different projects on other chains, and different types of like engagements. And folks here know what quests are all about, but I think that, there's been fatigue with the questing platforms and the airdrop farmers that have been really taking over a lot of those things, and a real hunger to get to a broader audience that we can deliver in Brave to them. So that's kind of the middle deal flow bucket. And then the bigger one is one that we're actually actively working on right now, and the community has actually helped us to rally around, has been this one, their ecosystem growth plays. In particular, there's one that we have open with the Polkadot Assembly, which is their DAO. And to basically, it's a 3-month program that we'll use to help bring attention to Polkadot, to different initiatives that Polkadot has going on, and they actually have a bunch of cool stuff on their roadmap that is really interesting. Kind of like a pay-as-you-go cores-based service, like almost like AWS that's decentralized. They also have some really cool like cross-chain communication protocol stuff that's out there that'll do things like, the closest thing I can think of is describing kind of like what Thorchain can do with native assets from chain to chain. They're talking about doing this at a bigger scale. And a bunch of other things that are interesting. And then also, like, each of these ecosystems have dApps that are, ready to go. And I think that, what these programs are going to help to do is there's so much noise out there. I mean, if you look just on Ethereum, right, you got like over 38 different L2s all competing for attention and for liquidity. Other L1s and other networks are basically kind of having to deal with a lot more noise and getting attention is important. But also, like, what really gets lost is there's things like product market fit and what makes these networks different. And so we can get dApps that are used in the Polkadot ecosystem, some visibility and generate some demand. Like, it can help to like show off why these networks are great, like where the gems are in these networks. And then also, like, for us, if we want to do something deeper with them, we can see where the demand is with our users as people learn more about it and start to use it. And we can see where the opportunities are. So like a lot of folks in the Polkadot community were asking about like a wallet integration or something like that. And the reality is, yeah, like, of course we want to do these things. It's not easy, but also let's see like where the demand is and where we could, maybe there's gaps in there where we could find something novel that we could bring to market with an integration, et cetera, kind of learning more and introducing, the ecosystem to theirs in a different way that's, more market-based and gets us the data that makes those bigger conversations easier to have with more clarity. So anyway, those are the three buckets. You have these kind of like small, medium, large. I'm spending a lot of time on the small buckets because it's pretty fast moving and interesting, but we have 2 pilots going. We launched another one last week. So there was the Mutai one, which I've been talking about a lot. Nam and others have been memeing up a storm with their community, which has been hilarious and awesome. They've actually really done a lot of growing recently. We had a phase 1 campaign we ran with them that got over 1 million impressions in 8 days. And then we did a hard stop on it, which was intended, and a several-day gap in between in between phases, just to see what would happen. Because we were noticing as a takeaway that we didn't expect necessarily is Birdeye.so was trending Mutai like pretty consecutive days and pretty consistently. And there wasn't a ton of variability in how they were trending, which was interesting. And when we shut it off, they still trended, but it was more intermittent. And we turned them back on and the trends picked back up again. So it was pretty interesting to see. This also kind of correlated with other things that they had going on, but it kind of got us thinking like, well, maybe there's really like bringing a lot of attention in the right area to the right users in Brave could have these like second order effects that you would see similar to like what an app store, popularity or trending list might do. So we were playing around with that, and then got introduced to another team called which is just HMM is the tag for it. And it was kind of an interesting cultural meme where they have a fair launch token, and it literally just is all about their community. And we got introduced to the founder, who's the photographer and like a pretty established and networked. And the token's a smaller cap token, and so the difference here is that like a lot of those teams behind Mutai had been around other meme coins and were pretty networked. This was a newer project, but we knew a lot of the people that were on the team. So it was, the biggest risk we have are things like rug risk and things like that. And so we have to be pretty selective with who we're going through, but we also want to try different things out. So in this case, it was like, okay, can we validate some of what we're seeing from the Mutai campaign with And what was really interesting was that we launched a campaign with them I think it was last Friday. And within 6 hours, the views on Bird Eye had gone up something like 52,000%, which sounds insane, but I screenshotted it and put it on Twitter. It was very real. And then within an hour, or within a 24-hour period, we started to notice, okay, their delivery, their daily volume was up significantly. All the stats are tweeted out and visible for folks to look at. But like, it was a similar follow-on effect to what we saw with Mutai, but there was a little bit different momentum behind them. But it was really, really super interesting. And so we have another one that we're about to launch today. That's a little bit different characteristics called When, and this token has a lot more distribution already. And so what we're trying to do is see, okay, what are the effects when we do this with a token that has broader distribution already, but is still relatively new? And so these 3 pilots are kind of helping to inform us around the different ways that BAT and Brave can bring value, while also like bringing BAT into, into these communities as well. Starting off with things like, memes and kind of cultural things, but also, we introduced another incentive for buying campaigns with BAT, so that, we had one in place for first-time campaigns, but then we were just extending it out to, an additional discount for, additional campaigns you make with BAT for the first 3 months. And the idea here is if we can get these meme coin projects to be buying their campaigns with BAT, because we're seeing, really good results. I mean, like this Mutai campaign, we've just broke 3 million impressions on. Everybody's minds are kind of like blown by how much attention. And if you think about like meme coins are cultural, and as long as we're selective and careful with where we go, for users, it's really interesting because we're bringing these to users that are specifically signaling intent around, crypto, either curious or crypto purchasing transactions or things like that the ad model can go after. So we're not trying to hit up like people that aren't into crypto at all. But if you're a rewards user, all of a sudden you're finding out about the meme tokens that are advertising with us, and it's a bit of kind of programmatic alpha that we can deliver in a bull run. And then this can also, what we're learning here can apply to other things too that happen that are cultural, that we can kind of piggyback on. But it gives us a way to bootstrap a bunch of BAT into the inflows for self-serve that are good for the token. It puts BAT out there in the market in a memeable way, and it's a reintroduction. Like some of these folks on these projects weren't around for the cycles before, where BAT was around, and so it's reintroducing people to what we're doing with the token. Every time I tweet about it, I get 3 or 4 more projects that want to do it. Some of them are a little high risk, and other ones are leading to follow-up conversations. And so, we'll see where it goes, but it's been really interesting to experiment with. And it's been a lot of fun. And these communities are, the vibes are pretty good. And a lot of them love Brave. And we're not doing it unless the project or communities are into Brave and are into BAT too. So I think, this is a net positive on both sides, as long as we're careful. But it's a really good opportunity for us to a lot of people, I think, when we have a lot of meetings with different Web3 projects and initiatives, et cetera. And a lot of people think about advertising as like a Web2 thing. But I think that what we're able to do with these types of efforts is say, no, like this is how, advertising is not going away. This is how we can incorporate it to bring value in a new way or a different way to Web3 and to the crypto market. And so anyway, interesting stuff there. If anybody's interested or whatever, I have my DMs are open. Hit me up. We're being pretty selective in trying to test out different things, but always open to suggestions and feedback. And yeah, on that too, I'll open it up in case I know that, people might have questions or whatever. So I'll just open it up for questions if people have any or want to talk about meme coins or whatever. Yeah, and Bows, so we're about to launch a pilot with When today.
Well, judging by the Mutai chart, looking at that, it's getting memed in March and got the adverts. If When does the same.
I mean, it is wild, dude. I'm the numbers. I mean, we saw numbers that were really strong with Mutai, and I mean the difference there too is they got like a whole media team that's like really good. They're piggybacking on an existing, drink. It'd be like doing like a champagne coin, where like there's a region in France that the champagne is made in. Like Mutai is like that in Asia, and it's tying it to kind of like a real world thing with these guys at they're tying it to like NFTs and stuff. So there's different applications that the communities are kind of working with, and it's super interesting. Like I'm interested in us doing more with that type of thing than with. I mean, right now with some of these sites, you can just make meme coins. You can basically fart out meme coins all day. Like it's wild. But I think there's gonna be some that are pretty cool to like leave out there. That they're going to stick around. And the interesting thing I've also seen is that like I've had some folks that have been Battern's got the link in the chat. It's like 4chan of it's like the 4chan of generating meme coins.
Someone posted that me in like February, and I faded it. I'm seething.
But the other interesting thing too, I mean, like so much of this has been happening on Solana initially, but I had a discussion with somebody that's working in this initiative at Polygon where they're trying to get a bunch of meme coins going. You're also seeing Base is trying to do a bunch of meme coin things, and so the other reason we're moving fast on this now is because if we have the right formula for this, which is looking pretty good that we do, these other networks we've got a way for them to kind of get in the mix for users and, for users that are interested in it. Bowz, I see you got a hand up.
Yeah, I was going to ask 2 questions. Obviously this is about meme coins, but, kind of sending over, are y'all reaching out to any of the like kind of bigger NFT projects or them to do more stuff? I mean, it's kind of cool seeing Pudgy Penguins on one of the ads. I'm sure Drew helped with that. Even though that was more of a kind of just a collab versus like a traditional advertising campaign. I know they have pretty good brand recognition. People who are in NFTs. A lot of people kind of like the cutesy graphics and stuff like that. So that's kind of what we are going over there.
That's a great question. I mean, I think some of these things initially are going to look like more like collabs, because why we're doing this, the way we're doing it, is to get the data that we can then use to market it. Because, things like price discovery around the service and stuff like that. I mean, if we have something that can turn on and bring the numbers that we're seeing, like that's pretty awesome to bring there. But to your point about other projects too, aside from meme coins, that's that we are. I think Drew has been awesome working on with the Penguins and a few others. I think you were talking to the Pandas too, right, Drew, at one point, we also, I mean, we've got with the Quest side of things, I think there's something like, we're working with Bandit. They have like over 9 different L2 projects or projects that are on L2s that are in the mix that we're working with right now. Astral's one of them that I just mentioned. They were on a Polygon space that I was on about a week ago, or a little over a week ago. And they also have a huge Japan presence too. So I introed them to Hiroshi Shimase on our Japan team and our CR over there too, so that the Japanese teams could both work together on some stuff. It's really interesting. I mean, like one thing when I was talking to Astral, they were like, we were kind of sharing stories about having these different initiatives happening in Japan and outside of Japan, and their minds were kind of blown. They're working with like I think the 3rd or 4th largest snack food manufacturer in Japan on an NFT project that totally got traction and fit. But just because it's like there's a language barrier there, like the rest of the world doesn't really know about it. And so it's one of those things where like you find out about these pockets where things are happening, and it's like, well, what else can we do to kind of like emulate that elsewhere? And so, like I was saying, like, I mean, these L2s, a lot of them are pretty well known. I some of these I don't want to say anything about yet, just because we're negotiating some stuff. But yeah, I'd like to answer your question. Yes, and even on the meme coins, there's some pretty big projects that are pretty well known that we're talking to as well, and the numbers are just making it all accelerate. There's even some interesting crossover ones that we're seeing that we're in talks with that I'm excited to show people about that I can't say anything about quite yet, but it's pretty cool.
Okay, so then my second question was, I noticed today that we had an ad that I got on mobile that was basically for an airline where you get like 15% off. Unless I'm mistaken, I think that's the same airline that maybe did a similar campaign or promotion with Brave before. Is that correct?
Let me double check.
Yeah, you're talking about Play Airlines.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool. So
they're a return advertiser.
nice. So I was just going to ask, I assume that means that they had pretty good results, because I was kind of curious about, how those type of things were playing out. Because, I mean, I know Brave has some discounts tied to their ads before on a few instances, but this was kind of more of a, I guess I think of international travel as being a little bit more pricier, something where, so I was kind of curious how they've seen a lot of good results. And I kind of assume the answer is yes, as they're willing to run the campaign again.
I can't really give out result information, but what I can say is that Play is one of those kind of like low cost international airlines that have been popping up. There are a few others in the market space, and I think they're looking to get a share of the market. Well,
I guess I can say mission accomplished, at least for getting their name known, because I hadn't heard of them before that. it was enough to get me to at least click on it, which is, already putting it leads above probably most ads on the internet.
Yeah, and I can tell you, like, if getting a renewal is key. I mean, especially right now with how the market constricted, like brands basically don't have any incentive to renew unless they're getting some ROI for it. A year and a half, 2 years ago, people were just throwing money at everything, but the budgets are definitely tighter. And yeah, they're I was just taking a look while you guys were talking at the setup, and the conversion funnel looks really good actually on these two. Airlines, when we did a bunch of affiliate testing back in 2020, 2021, it was one of those ones where so many people travel so much that you actually see like a pretty good conversion rate on those, even though it's a higher priced item. So it was one of those things I didn't necessarily anticipate to see such good results on, but the stuff I'm seeing right now with these guys is like really good. So no, that was, thanks for bringing that up. That was a good call out. And we were also talking with another project that was kind of like a Web3 travel booking company. It reminds me we should re-engage with them too, Drew, I think about the stuff we were talking about with them too. But yeah, I think yeah, like the with these meme coins, right? Like if we can and beyond meme coins, it could be NFTs, it could be all sorts of things. But one thing we're looking to do is get a lot more liquidity going on Solana and other networks where BAT will be settled out to. If we can get them buying campaigns on an ongoing basis with BAT, the reality of having more liquidity, I don't know. I think it'd be rad to have like liquidity pools set up where BAT is paired with like the leading meme coins in the space. And then it could be other things too beyond that. But if you look at a lot of pairs, it's kind of boring stuff, stables or whatever, or natives. I think it'd be cool to have a bunch that are tied to like attention and the attention token, because why not? And I also think, the memes are awesome. And I think that, it's for what it's worth too. I mean, I think I tweeted this out, but been kind of seeding liquidity over on Solana on BonkSwap. I've been adding they have 2 liquidity pools for BAT over there. And we're also working with BAT's also about to be listed on an exchange over on Solana too. I can give you some more details on that in the weeks ahead, but we're pretty excited about that too. But yeah, like we're definitely making moves to get more liquidity on Solana in particular because of the on-chain settlement stuff that's coming forward. But that's one thing that's fun about these meme coins is like it gets them talking about BAT, and a lot of times a lot of these projects are kind of don't want to talk about other tokens, so there's kind of a balancing act there. But I think that the fact that we actually have something that works here where the token's tied to it, it makes it a bit different. And just that reality of having some workable product out there that a token's associated with, it helps to kind of tell a story about crypto in general too. That's a good one to tell. And that, you know, a lot of people are saying, well, what's the use case? And we're like, well, here's a great one. So anyway, I think C-Ray had a hand up.
Yeah, as we are talking about all these tokens and all, I wanted to ask, are we making any plans on expanding the ability to like bridge tokens and everything within wallet? I know recently someone was talking about doing things, whether it be like Bitcoin to USDC or even trying to convert to meme coins. That's just not possible in the wallet right now.
Yeah, so there's two integrations that are being worked on right now. I think one's around like Squid's cross-chain integration that's being worked on, and then one with Li-Fi. And then both of those have the ability to do like cross-chain swaps and bridging. I think Squid does, at least on the bridging side. And yeah, I mean, you're gonna see you see it more and more too, like on Twitter coming up where you know, people are talking about wallets being kind of like the bridging station, which they kind of need to be when you look at how, you know, the Ethereum scaling roadmap's working. You've got to really have on ramps to go straight to these L2s and then bridges. Otherwise, like until there's some interoperability solution that'll cover it. And folks like Polygon are working on the ag layer and other stuff that seems interesting too. And even Polkadot was working on some interoperability stuff that's pretty interesting, but it's still early and the fragmentation's real. And it's people, it's hard because the noise is so tribal out there, and people are really stuck on their bag bias. But bridging's not really a great experience for users, especially new users to the space. But even people who have been doing it for a while, it's just kind of like a mix of nerve-wracking and friction and other things like that. But anyway, yeah, it's an effort that, and Oracle Problems too, has a good point pattern. Bowser, I think you have a hand up too.
Yeah, I was going to ask, when can we expect to maybe see like staking support coming to the wallet, like, you know, more, you know, like native sense, where you don't really have to like go to an external site and do other stuff, like in some other.
Yeah, we had to go through a bunch of discussions with legal about it, and it shook out to where we can do it, basically, like because we're giving accessibility to you know, consensus staking that helps to power the network, right? And so I know that the feature work was spec'd, I think, for it. I'm not sure when it's landing. If anybody on the wall team's on the call and has a sense of where that might land, let us know. But we've got the go ahead to do it. So I think that they're prioritizing it right now.
Cool. Also, any comments on all the Solana shenanigans that's been going on lately? I mean,
yeah, I mean, like it's a kind of a when it rains it pours thing, because I know that we were in Bowser, you and several others, Nam and gosh, there was a bunch of people that were having some pretty frustrating experiences with transacting on Solana. I think some of this is some of these things were legitimate issues that we were having, and some of these other ones were related to broader issues that were happening. And what I'm able to see from reading up on it and seeing what different folks that are working on the problem are saying is that there's like an issue with the Quick library. Like Solana implemented a Quick library into the network where it was a better way of or a way that uses like a UDP to at the network level to like get around some of the spamming or help address it in a different way. But what I think is happening from what I can read from Twitter. So don't take me to don't bet on this, but it sounds like there was a library implementation that was not great, and that they have been working on patching it and updating that implementation. And I think Mert was on Twitter saying they're hoping to have things more stable around the 15th, unless they discover something else in testing, but stuff's looking good so far. So I don't know. I mean, like, it's definitely not easy when you have to retry so many times. I have kind of mixed feelings about it, because one, it's a sign of a lot of people using something. It's not great to have to experience it. On the other hand, like, when I was having, like, I'm not saying it's apples to apples, but having a transaction not work out at a sub-cent cost is a lot nicer than having them fail when it costs a lot of money. Which is something I dealt with in the last bull run. So I think, and also I think it's also giving a lot of attention to other options too that are out there that are emerging. So I think these are all growing pains that these networks are going through. What you have to look at is how the teams involved and how the communities involved respond to them and correct for them and get around it. I mean, like, I think the Solana team's done a good job of getting through this adversity in the past. I think it's giving other networks an opportunity to get more used to, and you know, it's all moving forward. I think so much gets caught up in the tribal crap that, like, it's kind of counterproductive a lot of times. But I think that, you know, we're here. I mean, like, the fact that these things are happening. I mean, 6-8 months ago, a lot of people were saying crypto's dead, you know, and it's not. I mean, like, and so. This is a time when the A gamers have to game and figure stuff out and work through the problems, and, you know, and get things back where they need to get to. So I hope that helps. I think the timing sucks because we're about to do payouts on there, but whatever. I mean, like, you got to roll with the punches. Like, and we also did an NFT mint when the sky was falling and there was FUD from every direction, and FTX was collapsing. You just go weather the storm, you know. Battern, you got a hand up.
Yeah, it's a bit of a technical question that came up in the ambassadors call. So I think it comes in regards to how do you know that people are going to be interested in crypto on the back end? Like, I know you don't want to just be advertising meme coins to everyone.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. This is actually part of what we have to really be mindful of with these, and why it's a mix right now. There's a mix of, like, okay, you got to move fast on these things early, but also we're in a position at Brave where, I mean, I'm taking some risks with these things, but there's a balance, because you have to also make sure that you're not alienating parts of the user base that do not want to see this stuff, right? And so there's a different setup that I've got going with these meme coin campaigns than what we do typically. And that's part of why it's an experiment. The idea here, like, normally we would run a campaign and you're targeting relevant things, but an advertiser might want to do something that's more awareness driven that goes to a broader audience. And we have targeting options for that. And we have targeting options that are across all the different, you know, verticals, whether it's travel, sports, entertainment, computer science, technology, yada yada. We also have targeting cohorts that are like for specific intent segments. So and users that are making a tech purchase, or users that are making, you know, a crypto purchase, or NFT users that are going to NFT marketplaces. The browser has intent signals that it can pick up on and use with the targeting model to, like, you know, make the ad selection. And so with these meme coin campaigns, I'm doing a mixed approach. On one end of it, I'm going after very, very specific set of crypto targeting segments that we have that are not, there's a crypto curious segment that I'm testing, you know, kind of screen testing to see, like, if that's even too out there, but so far so good. But basically, like, if I can make a ring fence around very, very crypto focused user intent segments and then also contextual categories. So only go after the most crypto native matching that we can do. Then instead of doing like a high frequency, like normally you would do a demand campaign, you would say, okay, where's my target? I want to hit those people when they're in that journey and if they make repeat journeys with that segment. And so you typically do like a moderate frequency on a targeting segment. What I'm doing with this one's a little bit different. So I'm going after all those crypto cohort itself, but I'm doing it in a way that's like lower volume and it's farther reaching. So if I can show one ad a day with a maximum of 3 ad views or 5 ad views for the entire campaign, what I'm doing is I'm showing that user maybe 3 to 5 times total, one of those ads. But when it stops showing it for that user, it's showing it to another user, right? Because they serve out during, across a daily budget. And so the idea here is that since it's a meme coin campaign, if we're hitting that relevant cohort and nobody outside of it, and we can cycle through the user so that once you find it, you either act on it or you don't. And you give you 1 or 2 chances past that. Then what you're doing is you're kind of spanning this out as far as you can until you hit the edges of that cohort. And I think that's represented in some of these numbers that we're seeing, because like with and with Mutai, both of those within 3 or 4 days of launching, we were at like 500,000 impressions. And at a low frequency, I mean, it's covering the gamut of the users pretty well. And we haven't heard complaints about, that we would normally hear by now about irrelevant things being shown to non-crypto people, et cetera. And I think part of that's because we're being careful with it. But it's also part of the strategy too. So I hope that helps like answer the question, but it's a good question because it's a thing I'm worried. This is also why we're not like saying, oh, let's throw a sponsored image up, for these things. Because I have a feeling if we did, it would, at this stage, it would be pretty rough. That said, though, I mean, like, if you look outside of Brave, I don't know if folks have been following the WIF, WIF, the dog with hat.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're basically crowdsourcing this Las Vegas Sphere, where I think it was $600K for a week or something. And they're going to put a brand advertisement for WIF in the middle of Las Vegas for a week that you can probably see from space or something. But I think like as these branded plays happen, it might be less of an issue over time. But right now we're being pretty careful about it. I hope that helps.
Just a more of a simple version. Basically, does it just advertise the people who've got Deck Screener open in Brave?
Yes, advertise to people that are crypto natives that are most likely to actually do something on the ad that they see. Because I mean, like, only go after the most relevant users.
It's kind of like a wider question. So, obviously, the people who work at Brave don't know what's going on at people's PC, but the advertisements do know what's going on people's PC.
Well, the way that it works is that the matching happens in the browser. So the way we have like local machine learning that matches it's like a model on the browser that basically think about it this way. Your browser has your browsing history, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of it happening in the cloud, where the cloud is making decisions on what ads to show you, we actually just put all the ad matching into the user's browser. So it never leaves, right? Like that user's browser is making specific matching decisions based on what that browser is doing. So Brave's offices don't know. The advertiser doesn't know who you are, that you're browsing with it, but your browser knows, right? So like your browser has a list of all the ads that are available to serve. And then the browser locally knows, because your browsing history is right there, like what you're browsing and what you browsed, right? So the browser can make that decision. It's almost like having autonomous driving, where Tesla isn't steering my car, but my car is driving, right? That's how our ad matching works. So the advertiser, if the user, let's say the advertiser had something like sign me up for a email, mailing list or something, then the advertiser knows who the user is. But until that happens, the advertiser doesn't know who the user is either.
Okay, amazing. Thank you. I've learned a lot.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Hope that helps. And that's kind of what we're trying to do here. That's different from advertising outside of Brave. Like advertising outside of Brave, you go to a website, a bunch of third parties all send information about you to other third parties who then have profiles of you who say, okay, I want to bid on Luke doing this thing here, right? Like, even though my name isn't really Luke to them necessarily. And then, so they're taking pieces of your data and like bidding on that outside of your browser. And then they serve you something inside your browser. What we used to do is basically say, like, forget that. We can actually just do all this on your browser directly. Then none of your info has to leak outside the browser. Nobody needs to know who you are. We can show you something relevant. If you act on it, the advertiser gets something out of that. But your information is your information. And if you choose to share your information with an advertiser, then they get your information. But that's something you're making the choice on versus them having that and then deciding on something for you. If that helps. So then we got Bows and C-Ray. I don't remember who had hands up first. So,
well, if you don't mind, I'll jump in real quick.
Yeah,
It should be just in everything that you were talking about. I've recently been seeing people from different countries complaining that they're suddenly seeing far less ads than they used to. And that's despite there being a decent number of campaigns. Could what you just explained be part of what's going on? Like, have you guys tailored things to where, since they're not interacting with the ads, it's just suddenly not really prioritizing them for the campaigns, and therefore they're seeing less each month?
I mean, some of it is going to be around having advertisers running campaigns in their country for whatever they're browsing on, right? So, yeah, I mean, to a degree, well, it's not based on how much you're engaging with the ads. It's more about, is the ad relevant to what you're browsing? And I think that, you know, from an advertising perspective, like, I don't want to show a sports ad to somebody that's doing academic research, right? Because they're not likely to act on a sports ad while they're doing academic research. If they're looking up sports scores and I have, you know, a relevant sports ad to show them, we'll show that to them there. Those campaigns might be targeted towards certain countries more than others because there are regional differences. I think the balance is that, and what that might be too is like our sales team is pretty Western focused right now. And this is why we're doing things like Paola and Bruno are stepping up to help with getting language localized markets. And that's why we're pushing to get self-serve out there more. And we've started up some house campaigns to, you know, hey, your ad here or whatever. So we can bring on more international business outside the US. And we're talking with some resellers too. But yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, there's a balance here. Like, we want everybody to get rewards, obviously. But we also want to deliver relevant advertising for our customers, because if we don't, they're not going to be our customers anymore, if that makes sense. Like, you know, so there's a balance there. And I think, you know, that's what we're dealing with.
All right. Yeah, no, I mean, I knew as a user, we could choose whether we were interested in certain topics, and we can say whether we did or didn't like ads. I guess somehow I was ignorant to the idea that you guys actually were paying attention or using the browsing history, so to speak, to decide what ads got delivered. And so hearing that, it was just adding another layer that was opening up my mind. I'm trying to make sure I understood it.
Yeah. So all those, so when you see an ad in the ad history, right? And it says the category that it was served to. So when a campaign comes into Brave, it basically comes in and it says, okay, target these categories, right? And so we target those categories and run it. Some ads, like house ads or campaigns that want to run and hit a broad audience, we have like a general targeting category that serves it more randomly to a broader amount of users, because the whole point is to get awareness to a broad amount of users. But then other campaigns are more like demand generation focused. They want to do a specific action or get a specific ROI outcome or whatever. So it says, okay, only target like automotive users that are viewing automotive. And so they set those targets. Then what happens is there's a ad catalog that gets downloaded to the device that has all, based on the region that the user's in, it's all the advertising opportunities that are available and what targets they are set to deliver to. And so the browser then says, okay, here's the catalog, here's the opportunities. And as the user's browsing, the model on the browser says, okay, 70% automotive oriented. Do I have something to serve that's targeting automotive? Yes, serve that ad, right? So it kind of does this weighted balance of like against the opportunities that are available against what the user's browsing. And so if there are opportunities for different categories, it's going to target those things. What used to happen back in the day, like we had a lower amount of users and a ton of like crypto ads only, right? And at the time they're like, just we want to target broadly, like we want to get the word out about what we're doing. So like some of those campaigns would have more broader targeting, and people, and they would say, okay, let's run it globally. And so there's a balance here as we get larger too, that we want to get more and more relevant, and also we have more users that are in those categories than we did before. So it's a bit of a mix. I think what's different now too is that advertisers are being a lot more rigorous around the return on ad spend. And so they are being a lot more selective with what they want to spend money on targeting, which is a good thing, I think, for performance and things like that. But it means the side effect of that is that you're going to get less kind of more general awareness types of things. And so, but if users aren't seeing as many ads, that also tells you, look, there's opportunity for us to be selling those ads where users aren't seeing them too, right? Like, so it gives you a sense of where there's room for us to be selling more.
All right, awesome. And since we're at the end, I'll just try to do a very hard spot here. Kind of a yes or no. The people that disable the privacy-preserving analytics, could they negatively be impacted then on that?
Because no, I was saying because it wouldn't be able to see. Well, I would suppose it's not able to see that they're searching for everything because they're not getting any analytics, right? So the only ads where you're going to see be targeted are for rewards users that are opted in to rewards. So like the sponsored image that we display, that displays for everybody, whether you have P3A on or not, or piracy preserving analysts on or not. And like the newsfeed ads, those are just enabled like for everybody too. And so, but those aren't targeted to specific categories yet. And so the ones that are really impacted by this are the push notifications, because those are the ones that use this targeting model.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Bowles, you got a hand up for a long time. How's it going?
I was going to also say, just to be clear too, like this is like locally done stuff. It's not like Brave's sending all the users' data to some server they control or some third party,
100%. That's a great point, and that's exactly right. The whole idea here is that we don't need to do that, right? Because the browser knows best locally, and that's a really good. Because Brave doesn't want to know either, right? Because if something were to happen to our servers, whether it's an authority or a hacker or whatever, we do not want our users' information on our servers. And so our whole policy is to collect nothing if we can. And if we have to process something, do it as lightly and minimally as possible and make sure that that's documented and that that's transparent so that users know what's going on. And those are the first principles we had since the beginning. And those are the ones we still have now and will have. That's a great point, Bowes. Also, too, just before we sign off, a new episode of the podcast launched last week with Privacy Advocate. Give it a shot. It's on the Brave site and or the Twitter account. We link to it, and we've got a couple more that are coming up. Check out Marvin if you haven't in Brave Talk Isaiah Hill.
Yeah, it's Isaiah.
Sorry.
I had a question in regards to the Brave tokens being, I guess, like we can send it to our Solana wallets. Like, is that like, how does that work? Like, what's the I guess what's the latest on that? Like, how does that work?
Yeah,
now?
yeah. So users that have rewards enabled, what we're doing is we're phasing it out in by groups. Windows kind of did something like this when they did like a new operating system upgrade, where okay, this is something new, doing this on chain to self custody. So we're not doing it all to everybody at once. We're going to do it progressively, like over phases. And so users that are enabled, have rewards enabled, will, as we roll out the next phases, there's already one group that is eligible now that was part of that first group. And the April payouts are going to go out to them. Then the team's testing and learning on that data, and then they're going to do another phase where more people, you'll get a notification that you're invited to do it in the browser. And then if you want to do it, you can link your wallet, your self-custody wallet to it, and then you'll be in that group that's eligible for the next phase. And then once you're in that, you're in it, right? Like it's linked. And so we're the first groups I think we're getting close to ready to pay out that first group for the first round, and then the next group phase will be happening. I'm not sure exactly when that second phase is rolling out, but there's a lot to learn with this first one. Let me just put it that way. So yeah, that's how the rollout's going to happen, and eventually it'll get to everybody basically. So keep rewards enabled. But I know we're 2 minutes over, so I just want to close out. Thank you everybody for doing it. Good job with the presentations, Battern, in Jenny's absence. Appreciate it. We will be back, same bat time, same bat channel in 1 week. Until then, I'll see you all online. Have a great week and have a good one. And thanks, Marshall, for getting Marvin hooked up.
See you guys.
You bet. Talk to you soon. Ciao.
I'll say Proxima. Ciao.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
See ya.